This is the royal blue for Leon. Again, I've been printing his chassis for his tender, and that took 3 hours. So while I was waiting, I went ahead. I knew he had a loose wheel, and I went through and I found 2 loose wheels, and one in the front, one in the back, and I had to do some alignment with his drive gear. It was a little off center as well. And then in the course of testing all of that, I come to find out his armature was bad. So I put in one of mine. Sadly, it's apparently one of my good ones. he's at about, crank it up just a fuzz more here to show you. I love this power supply. It's from Triplet, the PS305, 17 volts rounding up, and he's pulling 7 amps, 0.8, bouncing around 0.7, 0.8 amps, which is really low. He does have a ball bearing in front, and we don't have all of these wheels buttoned in, but that's a good sign. And the engine is just smooth. It's like the Mazda, you know, humming, just a Hummer. Very smooth. And there's a growl at the start at low speed, like right in there. And I'm going to attribute that to loose axle bearings. And what I decided to do was let it go with the axle bearings on the other side of 50% probably. I mean, if you were really restoring the engine, you'd probably change them. But I know down the road, we're going to have ball bearing chassis, and I think what I want to do is build a chassis with ball bearings and send that to him rather than fool with this one right now. Listen to that. That's at 6 volts, 0.7 amps. That's doggone smooth. I think that's pretty nice. So I'm going to put the linkage back on and make sure it's running smooth, the new armature, and everything's in good shape. Then I've got to put on my sensor to get the fan smoke trigger and the chuff sound, and his let me shut this off. His tender chassis just finished printing. Oh boy, yes, black, yeah. It hides all the red, which, you know, we kind of like, but had to make some changes. I don't know why I lost my head on something, but at any rate, this just finished. I'll let it cool a little more before I pry it off. I did a test fit on one half of it in red, and it fits perfectly as far as the placement for the trucks in the cavity for the wheels and all that stuff. So I'm going to get his electronics mounted up. Won't have time today. It's already 5:30. I always call you guys at 5:30. I want to say this. At any rate, so that's the plan. Tomorrow's another rain day from what I can tell, so it looks like I will be left to my own stuff. I would like to fit this together, make sure everything fits the way I think it should, and see what I have room for or not, and make a decision on what we're going to do for sounds. Then I'm going to come back to the chassis. I've got to get the trigger signal. I do have the infrared if I want it. It's right here. Boom. I'm not sure if that's the way I want to go. I'm going to check it for reliability and other things. I'm going to look at some other options. I think I already put a magnet in there, right there, the magnet. I have a magnet in there for a reed switch, which I thought I could mount from here as well. So I can go either way with this. Boy, this is a smooth motor. Boy, I'm so glad. I hate when I find these things because, you know, I got to take them out of my engines typically. But I really don't want it to give somebody an engine that's not good, you know. This thing is smooth now. And the chassis is going to be really good too, I know. So that's the plan. I used my spacer doodad, and boy, did it help center that gear up. I use these shims here. I don't have a fixture for them yet. I tried to do those in plastic, but the plastic is just too thin at that point and they just break. So I had to go to this for the outside of the wheels. That's the size of a dime. Put one down each side, put this on either side of the gear, and you can squeeze them together, leave them a little loose so you got some movement. And oh yes, we had to use thread locker, Loctite red a few places, loose wheels, insulation, some other things. I did also have to peen over some of his axle openings. One wheel I had to do both sides, another wheel I just had to do the outside. It was like a 0.9 or something. I don't know what the number is, but anyway, it was bigger than the shaft by a bunch. So I peened it down. What you do is you mushroom the metal inwards and you make the hole tighter on the outside. So then when you line them up, make sure they're lined up. Then when you press them in, it's got a good bite. And that solved his two wheels that were bad shape. Two wheels and an armature. You know, you could think there might be something wrong with that when you see the resin is bubbled on the fields. I don't know, man. I don't know. I have to remember that one. Okay, well, that's what's happened. Fixed these chassis, pretty good shape, runs nice. I know I had the smoke tuned up. I'm going to check the opening for the hole. I thought it was okay. I'm going to check it again since I found something on the K5 I had to adjust. Also, what else? Oh, and then the sensor and the linkage. And then this thing will be ready. Oh, headlight and firebox light. Then the chassis. Okay, that's it. Done. 5:30. I'm gonna get the call any minute, and you don't really need to hear that anymore. All right, later, gang.